We are back talking about Canadian politics, and we're back in the House of Commons, finally. Welcome back to the Freedom Pines podcast. I'm your host, Jamie A.B. This is where we debrief and discuss politics, pop culture from an independent perspective. And if that interests you, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and share this with your friends because we have hit 3,000 followers, guys. I am so stoked. I remember I follow people when they have, if I see potential in people, I will follow them right from the beginning. So I can say I followed them right from the beginning. And I followed almost all of them, like Jasmine Lane, Pleb I've been following for and paying attention to this entire time since the convoy. Elevate's one of my faves. I've been listening to them too since the Freedom Convoy and since Dalton has been there. Anyways, I've been following all these people since they had small accounts, and watching them grow has been so incredible. And I just can't believe you guys helped me get to 3,000 followers. And thank you guys so much. Let's get into the video. So anyways, yesterday the House of Commons was in. It has thrown me for a loop, okay? Because I had a whole schedule when the House of Commons was on, and that was so long ago, you guys. First of all, I just want to talk about how different this feels, okay? First, rewind. First, I would like to acknowledge that I thoroughly enjoyed Rachel Thomas's speech on Charlie Kirk. She's absolutely correct. That was the most Canadian conservative response I've heard, and it was eloquent and lovely, and I do think that she has prime minister potential in the future. But we're going to be talking about what is going on in the House of Commons, what's going on in Canada. And first, we're going to talk about the House of Commons. The vibe is different. The vibe is different, okay? When Trudeau was in, Jagmeet Singh, PierrePoilievre, all youngins, okay? All yelling at each other, I would say Pierre stayed calm more. But honestly, the amount that PierrePoilievre would have to, confront Trudeau, that's his job, is to confront Trudeau about what he's done, and Trudeau just circles around it. I think that Pleb, I don't know if he watches House of Commons often, even back in the day, or did he just watch kind of highlights, but he was so mad watching them gaslight us, and I was just like, yes, that is exactly how I feel. I am screaming at the TV sometimes. And I remember somebody asking me, how can you watch this? How can you watch House of Commons and stay sane? Because all they do is genuinely, the Liberals will sit there and just lie in the House of Commons. And you're like, how can you just lie in the House of Commons? It was like a TikTok of how do you watch House of Commons every day? Doesn't it make you stressed out? And then I showed a picture of me smoking on the back deck. I'm just kidding. That's not what I do. But it's so funny to me to see the vibe be completely different. I don't think MarkCarney was as bad as I thought he would be, but he's definitely not good at this. This is Pierre's bread and butter, and that doesn't surprise me because honestly, his job has been to confront Justin Trudeau. And even when back in the day, when he was confronting Trudeau about, I believe, the We charity scandal, and he said, nobody believes you. I think that was the moment I started liking PierrePoilievre. That was 5 years ago. And I was like, oh, he doesn't like the Liberals. And then when I think about it, honestly, I wouldn't want to be prime minister. I would love to be the leader of the opposition. To be able to call people out and have a whole team behind me that is dedicated to investigating what they're doing with all the resources in the world, count me in. But it's a lot more work than that, obviously. But you know what I mean? That sounds like my dream job. And maybe that's why I've enjoyed Pierre so much, because he's so petty. And that's my dream job, was to hold Justin Trudeau accountable. So to see him do it again to the Liberals now, it's chef's kiss. Okay, because let's get this ball rolling. All right, I want to see another spring election because I'm done with this. And honestly, I think, like I've said 100 times, I think Canadians truly thought that MarkCarney was going to come in and be completely different. no research, because if you even looked at his book, you would know that the green agenda is like very much prominent to him. He loves the green agenda. He's even obviously more into the green agenda than DEI, in my opinion, because he's gotten rid of a lot of different DEI things in the Liberal cabinet, which I will give them credit for, but because they don't do anything. But he has everything to gain from the climate change stuff. So yeah, that's a problem. That's going to be a problem, because here's the thing. Have we not realized, and I'm not saying that nuclear isn't good. It is. And they've been the ones that have painted nuclear as this horrible thing, blah, blah, blah. But how many things do we know like this? They created our dependence on gas and oil. They really did. Okay. And then they're like, oh, it's a problem. Okay, we need to do this now. And then what do? They create the electric battery, the electric vehicle, which unironically uses way more power and way more resources than just having gas and oil. Here's the thing. I'm pro gas and oil. I really am. Like, after I went to go try to buy solar panels for my home, and they were thousands more than the budget that we had. And I thought to myself, so why do we have a carbon tax? So why, what is going on here? And that's when I did this somersault, because I honestly, like I said, thought that I was a bad person for having to because baseboard heating is so unbelievably expensive that we had to switch over to a gas furnace. Like, that was part of the plan when we bought the house, because of how unbelievably horrible and expensive, because of Kathleen Wynne, our electricity bill was. And as soon as we got gas, gas-powered furnace, our hydro bills dropped immensely, and we had AC in our house. So, and I'm very much an integrity person. If I am following something, like, I was vegan for 5 years. I cared about the environment in a brainwashing way for 5 years. And that's kind of what broke me, was that I realized there was no getting ahead. There was no winning with this Liberal government. And I think that the more that Canadians see, like, even on the weekend, part of that is my dad also, the moment my dad told me that, he's like, it's funny, I remember them replacing the plastic bag the paper bag with the plastic bag because paper was bad for the environment. They were cutting down too many trees. What? And then it honestly one day just all clicked, and I said, are they just creating problems and the solutions, and then those solutions become the problems, and the solutions to those problems, you know what I mean? And then it's just this uphill battle of more and more and more and more. Like, this world, there is something to environmentalism, guys. Like, the amount of crap that these people produce, and like the amount we have to replace our electronics, the amount, like, even if people don't realize what happens to an electric battery when it's done. What happens? You either replace the battery for as much as your car, or you buy a new car. What do you think you're going to do? They've made all of these things so good for the environment, and I can almost bet that we will see, and we are seeing, that these are not good for the environment at all. Lithium pits, wind turbine graveyards, that is made out of fiberglass. That is never going to disintegrate, you guys. And I'm thinking to myself, and I understand that there is a process to making a pipeline. I truly do. And I know that it's not just, as easy as what I'm saying it is, but at the same time, do you know how many things you have to do to get all of this electric stuff? Way too much. And that's what concerns me about all of these projects. And not to mention, even Rosemary Barton said, these are all projects that were already going. What is Canada going to do? What is Canada going to do? I don't know. Unless PierrePoilievre can actually put through bills and they pass because they have the support of Quebec and what's left of the NDP, I genuinely don't know. And I was just rewatching Pleb's stream, and I noticed this part where Carney's trying to freak out, and he's like, pointing his hands like this.
We need to be clear about the scale of investment that we need. $60 billion in new projects announced last week. $200 billion in investment announced last week.
To your billionaire friends where nothing gets done.
Housing investment announced just yesterday. That's the scale of what we need.
But even when he does that, he has nowhere near the passion or velocity that Trudeau did, okay? And it's funny to watch Pierre on the other side of the House of Commons looking like this because he knows that this is his bread and butter. And then Blanchet calls him out for not doing anything about the tariffs. Promise. So let's listen. I'm listening to Pleb's stream coverage, by the way. That's what I watched yesterday. You guys
Mr. Speaker,
probably.
But look at him.
The current situation is this. We have the best deal with the U.S. worldwide right now. We're talking about more than 85%. 85% is enormous of our exports are covered under free trade with the U.S. We have the lowest tariff in the world right now.
Okay, anyways, here's the thing. The translator might not be that bad. MarkCarney might be that bad at speaking French. So she's kind of confused. I just want to give the translator a little bit more credit because that is hard to listen to. He might be really bad at French. So I'm just saying. Because Pleb said it was a DEI hire. So I was just like, I just wanted to let you guys know that it might be because of how bad MarkCarney is at speaking French. We don't know. Okay. And then this conservative talks about how much food is. So everybody who thinks that I'm doing a bad job grocery shopping, listen to this.
To housing. But let's be clear. This was the Prime Minister's promise. These were the Prime Minister's words. This is the Prime Minister's failure. Food prices are going to go up $700 per Canadian family this year.
That's a lot.
Canned soup is up 26%. Apples 14%. Tuna 19%. The daily essentials have become unaffordable.
Yes,
Is
they
sticker
have.
shock at the grocery store the experience that this Prime Minister promised Canadians?
And I think that almost we're at the point where grocery shopping has become this collective experience that we all share together when we go and we look at the prices of things and we're all sitting there like, why is this ham, a chunk of ham, one of those half? I know that if you're in America, bacon and ham are two different things. But it's $15 for like a ham that's this big. That like we used to buy big ass hams, okay, for $20. Now they're $15 for something tiny, and that's if you're lucky. If you live in Northern Ontario and you're in one of those small towns where you're traveling 1 hour plus to get food, you're going to be going to the little grocery store in town, and you're going to be spending even more than that. So it's just. Living in Canada has truly become, like, we cannot afford things, okay? This weekend, the New Liskeard Fair was in town, and I could only afford to send my daughter. Thank God she had friends that she could go with, but we were scrounging up change to be able to allow her to go to the fair. A fair! And I know that fairs are expensive, but we usually just go and look around and go on a ride and eat a poutine and leave. And we couldn't even fucking do that. Because it wasn't pay week. Living in Canada is a joke. I'm sorry. The fair. And like I said, we do not do a lot. We go around, we look at the chickens, we go on a ride. That's it. Eat a poutine. Unbearable. And this Christmas is going to be even worse. Because I normally start buying for the kids in August. Not only is my baby bonus significantly less, which makes no sense. And here's the thing. If you're going to be like, baby, will you get a baby bonus? I did during Harper, but I'd also rather just get my husband's paycheck. My husband just rather get the paycheck that he gets than having to rely on the baby bonus. Because if they even took a minute amount off of our paychecks, maybe we could afford to not have the baby bonus. I'm telling you guys, living in Canada, like, this is what we need, because I know that people think that the House of Commons is kind of, useless. But at the same time, the news is covering this. It's bringing more attention to what's going on in Canada. It's not just a hearsay. They're being confronted in the House of Commons. So I know how people say, like, oh, it's just kind of a show. I understand that. But at the same time, this brings a pretty big focus on what the Liberals are doing wrong. And Pierre does a good job at pointing that out. So I think Pierre did great. Honestly, this is like Pierre's really good at this. If there's anything that Pierre is good at, it is being the opposition, being petty, and doing his job. And it is very nice to see everybody back in the House of Commons. Okay, now hopefully we can get some bills passed. Okay, let's get some bills passed, like I said. And I'm going to do a quick little reminder at the people at the end of this video who still think that we should not be trading with America. Okay, so before I do that, I'm going to say my outro and just ask you guys, what did you guys think? Do you guys think that we're going to have an election? Do you think that the House of Commons is a useless idea? Or do you think that it brings awareness like I do? I just want to know what you guys' opinions are. And do you want me to cover more of House of Commons? I can go into more detail. I plan on watching those conferences where because I believe they had a conference yesterday talking about MarkCarney and his conflict of interest, and I could talk about that too. Or if you guys want House of Commons coverage, I can do that too. Just let me know, and I will see you guys in the next video. But before you go, may I remind everybody on my map, okay? This is Canada. This is America. I'm sorry. Are all of our major cities not on the border? Guys, this part of Canada is the farthest away from the border, and then you can go like up here and there's a few things. But if you truly cared about the environment, you would want Bill C-69 repealed, because why would you think it's better to, you know, from here to here or there to there? Why would that be better? Why would going across the ocean be the more, or getting them from down here and going up here? Like, what are we thinking? I don't know. If you truly loved the environment, you would advocate, no matter who is in office, for us to have a good relationship, because we're so close to each other. Anyways, bye.